Good morning. Good morning, all. If I could have your attention for a few minutes as we dedicate this beautiful basketball court to a well-deserving person who has given so much to our community, Manny Papoula. There are a few dignitaries here that I would like to mention, and I hope I saw you all, but Bernard McDonald, Register of Deeds. Bernie, where are you? Bernie? I think I saw Steve Camara somewhere in the crowd. Oh, there he is. Steve. And also I will be having a couple of others come up, so I won't recognize them now. We'll be recognizing them later. But I hope oh, Superintendent, and I'll tell you what a great job he's doing, Matt Malone. Matt, thank you for being here. At this time, I would like to call on the Honorable Jaisal Correa for opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. All right. Nice, beautiful day we have here, huh? All right, this is wonderful. Although I certainly don't know Manny for as long as most people here, he has been a legend. That's probably the best word to describe Manny Papoula, a legend in our community, and he's here in the flesh, and we're dedicating this basketball court to him. But Manny's a type of guy that we got to dedicate more stuff to, because he's done such an amazing job in this community. Everywhere I go, as I was preparing my thoughts about Manny, people would tell me stories about this really tall kid who is just so good in our community and such a great athlete, and has given back and has come back to the city of Fall River and has given back to our youngsters and our people in so many different ways. So it's just such a proud moment for the community to be here celebrating this man's legacy, his accomplishments, but also his very important contributions to our community. He's a man that has volunteered his time on numerous occasions with young people in our community, but has also taken it upon himself to make sure that our basketball courts are safe and have nets, which sometimes, that's right, we got an applause for that, have nets, which sometimes due to weather, or I don't know, maybe some people dunking. I certainly can't dunk, but people dunking and the nets just ripping and different things. Manny took it upon himself to replace most, if not all, the nets throughout the community basketball courts. I don't know if Mike Dion is here, but if you're standing on a basketball court that is essentially brand new due to the efforts of Community Development Agency and the federal government. So a big round of applause for Community Development for upgrading all of our basketball courts throughout the community. I want to thank all the organizers who put this event together, who made it possible. We were preparing for this for several weeks, and if not months, to make sure everything happened well and made sure that this event went off with no problem. So I want to thank Ed Hill for doing that, and many others who put this together. Thank you, Ed. Nice job. So we have here, I'm going to ask Manny to join me here at the podium. He's much taller than me. All right. Manny, this is an official citation, a mayoral citation, and this is an honor and recognition of your inspiration and mentorship to countless basketball athletes across the city of Fall River, and this is given to you today. And there's a second piece, but I want to give this to you first, and then there's a second gift from the city. So that's for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you.
So much.
And then second, this is my favorite part. All right. We don't give out too many of these. This is the official key to the city, and that is going to be bestowed upon Manny today. You've got to find the doors that it opens. I don't even know which doors it opens, but you got to find it, and we're just so proud, and I'm proud to look up to you, literally look up to you, but also so proud to have you as an individual in our community. So thank you, Manny, and congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
I think everybody here looks up to Manny. At this time, and I did call the mayor up early because I know sometimes he has a busy schedule and he has to leave before the ceremony is completed, so that's why I called him up first. But at this time, I'd like to call upon Tom Corey to sing our national anthem.
I would encourage you to join with me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much. What a wonderful rendition. Manny, that's yours. At this time, I would like to call upon an old friend of mine, a guy that, I guess it was in June, he called me up and he said, you know what, Ray, do you think you could help me with an endeavor that I'm thinking of doing? And I said, well, I don't know what you're thinking of doing, so let me know what that is. And I may say yes, and then again, what is it? And he said, I'd like to see a basketball court at Ruggles Park dedicated to a person who has done so much for our city. And you know, immediately Manny Papoula came to my mind because he lived in the area and also what he's done throughout this city. And I said, well, who's that going to be for? He said, Manny Papoula. I said, you got me on board immediately. I said, and I will put it in at the next council meeting. And we put it, and I'll tell you, it wasn't a 6-3 vote. It was a unanimous vote to name this court in honor of Manny Papoula. And I'm going to tell you, Manny, I can't think of a better person to have this court named after than my good friend, who I went to school with at the Pine Street School, than Manny Papoula. But that person who started that initiative was a good friend of mine who I've known for many years, and I continue to be a friend. He'll always be a friend of mine, Ed Hill. Ed?
Thanks, Ray. I've got the tough job. I've got 5 minutes to give you the history of Manny Papoula. Unfortunately, I work where Manny volunteers at SARE Jobs for Progress every day. So I get to hear stories at least once or twice a week when he comes in, and he doesn't realize when he leaves my office, I've been writing them down. So unfortunately, some of them are going to happen now. But I'm sure Manny's appreciative, and he's thinking back about his parents, Manny and Virginia, who came from the Azores in '42 and decided to live in Fall River. And then they ended up buying a house in Orange Street. And Manny always says Ruggles Park became his second home. But it was almost didn't happen because his mother was afraid of having him cross Robeson Street because all new drivers, people were starting to drive. She says it's like an obstacle course. Also, there were a couple of kids in the neighborhood that were causing trouble, and she was afraid they hung out at the park. Manny finally convinced her that it was okay, and he showed her how he can get across Robeson Street 3 times a day to come back and forth to the park. But then I think about, we picked Ruggles Park, and poor Manny's only had 2 major injuries playing basketball, and both of them around this court. He sprained his ankle a couple weeks before graduation at Boston College and had to limp across the stage. And about 10 years ago, he came here to shoot some baskets at night, and there were 3 kids playing baskets, shooting baskets. And he said, they asked him, can you join us so we can have 2-on-2? And Manny right away thought, that's going to be a bad thing. So he says, I'll just kind of pass the ball and I'll be on one team. Unfortunately, he forgot, his instincts kicked in, he took a jump shot and wrecked his Achilles heel. And so Manny's kind of not picked up a basketball for a while since then. So, but even though, Manny, I know this has got some bad experiences, we know there's a lot of positive things here. Then he ends up going over to Durfee, and he says, boy, I'm a lucky guy. I'm getting to play for Luke Urban, the legend coach. After his first year, he reads in the paper that he's being replaced by a gentleman named Tom Karam, who's only 25 years old. And he goes, boy, I'm a lucky guy, aren't I? And he says, boy, was I lucky. He says, that was the best thing that ever happened to me in my basketball career, is having Mr. Karam as a coach. And I guess it kind of spoiled Manny, because they only lost 5 games in those 2 years, his junior and senior year. Then he went to B.C. They had an undefeated freshman team. And then after Bob Cousy took over his sophomore year, the junior and senior year, they only lost 12 games totally. I think Manny never wanted to coach, because how could he live up to that? Obviously, Manny made All-State when he was at Durfee. He started getting all those offers, and he got like 20 different colleges. Of course, back then, games weren't on TV. Very rarely did you see, there wasn't a lot of press on things, so Manny got recruited because he played at an important school that had a winning tradition. And obviously, he was a talented player on top of that. He selected B.C., and that way his family and friends could see him play. Like I said, they had an undefeated team, and Manny, of course, became a great teammate. And there was a gentleman that Bob Cousy started recruiting people. Manny was the second tallest player on the freshman team. By his senior year, he was almost the shortest player, because Mr. Cousy knew how to recruit. And so Manny almost had to be a point guard instead of 6'3". But Manny started friending a teammate that became an All-American, John Austin. John Austin was from D.C., and Manny would go home on the weekends, and Austin, of course, was going to stay at B.C., and because of the busing that was going on in Boston at that time, that was probably not a safe place for John to spend his weekend. So Manny friended him and brought him back to Fall River to play at the boys' club and all that. Of course, no good deed goes unpunished. So Mr. Austin, one day when they're playing at a holiday tournament, says, Manny, I want you to stay at D.C. at my family's house. We don't have practice for 3 days, and we can get my uncle's car and we'll drive back to campus. Of course, we had the worst snowstorm in the history of the East Coast, back to the blizzard almost. And instead of a 12-hour ride, it took almost 2 days to get back to campus. They made it within 30 minutes of when practice was going to be held. Manny said, I thought my life was at my hands the whole time. He says, we're driving through roads that were closed. We were the only one on the highway. The blizzard was incredible. We get there, and Cousy had put a sign up, the weather's too bad, stay in your dorms. He didn't learn from that. So senior year, they make the NIT. They get knocked out in the first round. And Mr. Austin goes, hey, listen, I'm friends with the guys at Providence College. We could go stay in their dorms and we'll, in the hotel, and we'll watch the semifinals. So of course they go to New York to watch some games. They stay at the hotel. Manny stays with a power forward, a friend that he had made an association with. Manny falls asleep. Someone knocks on the door, opens the door. It's the assistant coaches. He looks in the other bed. The other guy's gone. They were doing a bed check with that guy because he liked to enjoy himself once in a while. They asked Manny, who are you? He says, out of the room. So Manny spent the night in the hotel lobby trying to sleep, while his other teammate was sleeping all night. He said, I didn't really enjoy that semifinals that day. He comes back after graduating from BC. He works on his master's degree, gets it within 2 years, teaches in Somerset and Tiverton. And actually, I've run across a couple of the students he had in Somerset. They still remember him. They said he was the best teacher they had. It's amazing you can leave an impression after 1 year with kids, but that shows you what you can do. He decides, he's still got that attraction to New York City, so he actually starts applying for jobs, and he finds a job in the suburbs of New Jersey. And the guy hires him as a math teacher and says, by the way, you're going to be my basketball coach. And Manny says, no, I'm not. I'm going to be your math team coach. And he goes, math team? What is that? He goes, listen, there's a lot of math teams in this state. You don't have one, and I can make this work. Before he left, they had to build a trophy case. That's how well the math team did. Manny was spending nights and weekends at the students' houses trying to prepare them for these exams. And they won titles in the state, regional titles, districts, had some kids go to the nationals. It was incredible. He took that basketball flavor and turned it into a math team. And of course, we keep saying, this is because of my community service. We forget Manny has been inducted into the New England Basketball Hall of Fame. So obviously his basketball talents are well recognized. Of course, there's one thing, where does Manny stop volunteering? Beyond that math team a little bit, is that about 3 years before he retired, there was a town in New Jersey that had a major mill fire. Boy, did that hit home with him, because they lost about 4 or 5 mills, and the paper said a lot of local immigrants, people uneducated, were going to lose their jobs, and they were going to have to go get re-educated, and Manny decided it must have clicked in with his parents, because they both worked in factories and were able to buy a house on Orange Street. He says, I want to help those people. So he started volunteering, tutoring, helping those people 3 towns over that lost their jobs because of a mill fire. Just shows there's always that something in somebody's life that kicks in. And I think that's what got Manny on the volunteer kick. Because then he decides he's coming back to Fall River in '96. And he just can't volunteer one place. He's at the SARE Jobs for Progress Monday through Friday for the last 15 years from 9 to 12, volunteering math for students that are taking the GED and now the high set. He also thinks, well, I want some of those kids to go to college. I get to work with them. So then he creates 3 scholarships. So the top 3 scorers of the GED test every year at SARE gets a scholarship, and hopefully they use it to go to Bristol Community College. And then he remembers his fine coach at Columbus Park in Little League. And he says, you know something, I need to do something for those kids because I'm getting them at the high school level. I need to get them before that. So he started a scholarship program for the kids with the 5 best report cards, get money to use for educational supplies. So he steps up there again. He said, again, none of this is named after Manny. He's always trying to recognize someone else. Then he realized, well, gee, you know, Durfee did so much for me. I think I'm going to start the Skip Karam Scholarship. And it's going to be for the top academic girl basketball player and boy basketball player, and he's been giving that out for over 10 years. Again, not in Manny's name, he's recognizing other people. Basketball nets. Manny, 2 to 3 times or every month, he's driving around to like 42 courts at public housing and in the parks. And he's replacing the nets, and he's looking to see the condition of the courts. And he's trying, and if he sees an issue, he calls the park department. And I'll kind of wrap this up by showing you it's not just his normal volunteering, it's what he does when something comes up unexpected. He goes to Lafayette Park, and the basketball court has been destroyed. Both rims are down, the backboards are broken. Manny calls the park department, goes to a park meeting. They say, great, we understand the problem, Manny. We're going to take care of it, but we can't do it in this year's budget. Manny goes home and thinks about that. And he says, every time I go to replace nets there are many kids playing. He called them up and said, I'm paying for that court and those backboards to be replaced. He goes into the Fall River Library. He sees the children's division curtains and blinds need to be replaced. The sun's shining in, the kids can't see well. He says, well, when you're going to replace those? Yeah, that's on next year's budget. He says, no, it's not. You're going to replace those next week. And he pays for those. I mean, I could go on and on with this list. There was a family member who had the soccer field named after him at Britland Park. And the sign got stolen or was broken or got taken down when they redid the field. Manny paid for have that sign done again. I could go on and on. He's got many awards for all this work. And he hates that, but he thinks it's a good thing in the sense that he gets to promote all these extra causes that are out there that are needed. I get to represent Boston College. They really cared about Manny, obviously. They sent down 4 shirts, and they sent 4 tickets to an ACC home game. So hopefully he's got a bunch of former teammates here, so you're all going to have to fight for those other 3 tickets. Also, the committee that's been working on this, we actually, let me get that. We decided, you know, since he never did coach, we wanted to give him like a clipboard. And this is, so we had the court mate on it, and it obviously recognizes Manny. So this thing he's going to have for the rest of his life, I'm sure. Manny, I can't tell you, I've had a chance to work with a lot of co-workers, and I've seen a lot of people volunteer. And now I'm supposed to be a role model to my grandparents and my adult kids. You know something? I still found another role model in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Well said. I see some young basketball players here from Durfee, and I hope this gentleman is a role model to you. Hopefully you go on and become great basketball stars, but if you don't, Manny never was a great basketball star. He wasn't a professional, but you can see how much he's given to his community, and I hope you guys take a lesson from him, because I'll tell you, we all can take that lesson. There's a couple of people here, and I think my last guest, Ed Hill, took my my notes here. Yeah, he took the agenda on me. But I would like to recognize the fire chief who's back there. Chief, thank you for being here. Also up on the hill, I see a good friend of mine that does so much for the community. Bobby Bolton, please just raise your hand. Bobby has done a lot for our community. Kevin Phelan, Nick Chris. Nick, I'll tell you what, Nick does so much for this city and gets very little attention for it, but I'll tell you, we all appreciate what he does. At this time, I would like to bring up the Vice Chair of the Fall River City Council to make a presentation for the City Council, Linda Pereira.
Good morning to all. Well, I grew up in this neighborhood, so many times I've sat on the wall over there and watched people play because I'm not really very athletic. And ice skate down here. It would flood out. Remember, Manny? It would flood out. We could all ice skate down here. But as I hear Mr. Hill talk about everything that Manny Papoula has accomplished, athletically, it's amazing what he's accomplished. But what's more amazing to me is the give back. The give back to our community. That when the city didn't have money to repair a basketball court, we want to keep our youth safe. Manny did that for the city. When they didn't have money for nets, Manny did that for the city. He did that for the children. And he never wants to get credit for anything that he does. And Mr. Hill gave you a list of things that he does and the volunteerism that he gives. Where does that come from? That comes from your home life, and that comes from your heart. And to me, what you do from your heart without wanting recognition for, to me, is what a true hero is. And that is many of our people here in Fall River. So to me, Manny is a hero much more than just the athletics, but a hero in the community in all that he gives back. Manny, thank you so much for doing all of that. And I know that your mom and dad are here with us today, looking down from above, because they know that the lessons they taught you, that you have carried them through. Because Manny's parents, as many of you don't know, were friendly with my in-laws, and they too were very giving people. So I know where Manny gets this from. But Manny, if you come up here, an official, oh honey, I know they're here.
Thank you so much.
I know they're here.
Thanks. Thank you.
This is an official citation from the City Council in recognition of the basketball court at Ruggles Park being named in your honor, and all of the work that you do and the community service that you give. We thank you very, very much. I know. And I know your mother's watching.
Thanks a lot. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Linda. At this time, I'd like to call a staff member from Senator Roderick's office, because Senator Roderick would have liked to have been here, but obviously they're in session today. Kelly Andrade. Kelly?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yeah? Okay, great. So I'm so sorry that Senator Roderick couldn't be here today. As City Councilor Mitchell said, he is at the State House, so he sends his best wishes and regards. I get to do all the fun stuff because I work the district. So if Mr. Papoula could come up, I'd like to present the citation. And it reads as such. It says, official citation, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Manny Papoula in recognition of the dedication of the Manny Papoula basketball court at Ruggles Park in Fall River, Mass. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you
It's a wonderful day.
I really
Thank you.
At this time, I'd just like to recognize a couple of basketball greats, B.J. McDonald, as we recognized him earlier, and also a person who made a tremendous difference in the basketball program, and he's here representing his wife, and that would be none other than Ken Fiola, representing his wife, Carol Fiola. Ken?
Thank you, Ray, and good afternoon. I'm actually here not only representing my wife, but also on a personal matter, I want to be here to celebrate this great day for Manny. As a former Hilltopper myself, we looked up to players such as Manny as we were coming through the ranks to try to best represent the school, both not only from an athletic standpoint, but also an academic standpoint. And Manny was a role model to myself as to many other Hilltoppers that have gone through the basketball program here under the tutelage of Coach Skip Karam, who is also joining us this morning. And as I look around and I see the number of ex-Hilltoppers here, I see current Hilltoppers here, I see family, I see friends, I see the peanut gallery up here, you know, watch it out over us. I see Dr. Malone here, who's a new and certainly a welcome addition to this community. I think this celebration speaks volumes as to the type of person Manny is. Not only did he have success at Durfee, success at Boston College, but he's come back to this community and has given of himself tirelessly throughout the years, making a difference in people's lives. I see Manny as I'm driving around the city, and I'll see him out there changing those nets on basketball courts without any fanfare, just doing it because that's something that he believes is right. I see him volunteering his time as a tutor. This is probably one of the best day and worst day for Manny, if you know Manny, because Manny doesn't like the limelight. He likes to be under the radar. He likes to be in the background. So this is probably uncomfortable for him, but it's something that's well deserving for him, because if we could all be like Manny Papoula, the place would be a much better place. And Manny Papoula should be and is a role model for not only people of my generation, but as I look at these young Hilltoppers over here, he should be a role model for your generation. And if you could be a tenth of the person that Manny Papoula is, then you have reached success in life. And I think we should all use Manny as a model as we continue to move forward and make Florida a better place. So that's from me. Now from my wife, who can't be here today because she's in session in Boston, but it's also a great friend of Manny and someone that she personally admires as well. So I'm just going to take a minute to read this, otherwise I'll get in trouble at home tonight. So this is from the House of Representatives. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Manny Papoula in recognition of the dedication of the Manny Papoula Ruggles Park Basketball Court for your years of generosity, volunteerism, and commitment to assisting all those in need, especially our youth. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Signed by the Speaker of the House, Robert A. DeLeo, and offered by Carol Fiola, State Representative of the 6th Bristol Districts. Thank you, and congratulations to Manny.
Thanks so much.
Great job, man.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's the only speaker that could look Manny in the eye. I just noticed him being here, another basketball great from Durfee who played with Julius Erving, Bob Dempsey. Bob?
And Teddy.
Oh, and Teddy Dempsey's also here. Teddy. Bob's older brother, he tells me. All right, at this time I'd like to have the Director of Sir Jobs for Progress, Maria Ferreira Bernard, come to the podium. Maria?
Good morning. So I think there's no doubt at this point as to Manny's achievements or his deserving of this honor. But for those of you who maybe didn't quite catch it in all of his accolades, for the last 21 years, Manny has spent every morning, Monday through Friday, as a math tutor at Sir Jobs for Progress. And he's there helping those who need to overcome many personal and socioeconomic barriers in order to come to our classes and prepare to get their high school equivalency exam. Undoubtedly inspired by his own many great coaches and teachers, he mentors and inspires his students, many of whom will tell you they wouldn't have passed the exam without him. And many who come back after graduation to get a little extra help with some college homework or preparing for a job-related placement test. And as we know by now, Manny is not only generous with his time and expertise, he is giving of his money as well. Thanks to his generosity, every year we're able to award 3 scholarships totaling $1,000 to the 3 highest scoring graduates of each graduating class. And again, Manny, as we know, doesn't take personal recognition. It's not the Manny Papoula Scholarship. He insists every year that it's the SARE Jobs for Progress Scholarship. But if you multiply that times 21 years, you can see how much Manny has invested in our students and in our community. So Manny, on behalf of your SARE family, congratulations. We're so proud and grateful that you've chosen to play on our team, and we hope you continue to do so for many years. And we have a little gift for you, so if you could just come up. Thank you. Thanks, Manny.
Thank you so much. Oh, my God.
You know, I have lunch every Thursday with Manny at the Liberal Club. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. He's going to blame me for all of this, and it wasn't all my fault. But I know I'm going to get an earful tomorrow because Manny really is not the type of guy that likes public functions, and especially when he is the, I guess you could say, the honoree of that. The next person I'd like to call upon is the AD at BCC to present a gift, Derek Viveris. Derek?
Good morning. So I've been at Bristol Community College for 8 years, and I've never once had to replace the nets on the basketball courts. I never knew why until maybe a month ago. Mr. Hill gave me a call, and the light bulb went off. And you know, those efforts are very much appreciated. As most of you know, a lot of those courts are used very frequently by our students, our faculty, our staff, and of course the community. And what Manny does at BCC and the other parks around the city, you know, I don't know if there's enough thank yous to go around to appreciate him. But we would, on behalf of Bristol Community College, everyone at the college, we'd like to present you with some Bayhawks apparel so you can sport around the city. Okay.
Thank you so much. What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can put on the table.
Yeah. Okay. It's up to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Derek. At this time, I'd like to call upon an old friend of mine and an old friend of Manny's, brought up in the same neighborhood we were, and became a teacher who was not only respected but admired by many, Dr. Ed Costa.
I'll be brief, which of course for me is not easy, but in this occasion I will be. I don't usually feel comfortable coming to dedications. I don't go to a lot of them, but when I heard about this with Manny, I really felt compelled to come. We've heard about all of his achievements, but what I want to talk about is this basketball court. Because Manny grew up about 3 houses down from where I grew up on Orange Street. He was about 3 or 4 years older than me. And like Manny, this was our home. This is where I spent my youth. Anybody who knows me knows that I talk about Ruggles Park with great fondness, especially this court. And I think I know where Manny got his whole idea about replacing the nets, because I see a lot of my friends that I used to play with, although we probably were about 40 pounds lighter back then. And anybody that grew up when I did in the late 50s and early 60s knows that that side of the court was where the good players played, and it usually had a net. And that's where Manny would play. And I would be maybe 10 or 11 when I first would come here. And Manny was a teenager, and I would just admire him and the really great players. And there were some terrific ball players that played on the net side. Those of us like myself who were younger, not quite as talented, would play on the no-net side. And there was no net on that rim. And that rim was frequently bent because some of the good players, when they would have a bad game, one that comes to mind was a man we used to call Mad Dog. His name was Jay Welch. When he would get really mad, he would just run down here and jump up and grab that rim and bend it. He'd hang on it. So I remember growing up shooting at a rim with no net that was half bent, and the only time we would get invited to play down there, 2 occasions. One, when they just needed an extra body to make the sides even, and we'd get called down, right? And the other would be if you had a new basketball. Like one time, one Christmas, I had a new basketball. I was shooting over here. Somebody over here, probably one of the Fitzgerald boys, yells at me and says, "Hey, let me see the basketball." And I said, "Here you go. I just got it for Christmas." They said, "Nice." And they played with it, and I had no ball. And they threw me a ball with a bubble on it, because in those days, basketballs had bubbles on it when you played outside for a long time. So, Manny, on behalf of all of the people who played on a netless rim at this park their whole life, if there had been someone like you who had fixed these rims and replaced the nets, I might have developed into a basketball player, and Skip Karam maybe wouldn't have caught me when I tried out for varsity. So, Manny, on behalf of those of us who shot at the netless rim, I just want to thank you so much. Certainly, your other achievements are legendary, but that's what I remember the most. Thank you very much. And you don't have to get up.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you so much. Tells you somewhat about the neighborhood back in those days. The next speaker does not have to be introduced. He's a legend and forever. And I'll tell you, he has inspired many in this community, and he's been a person who I think all of us admire, and that's none other than the legendary coach, Tom "Skip" Karam.
It's great to be here. Eddie Costa, the Nets had nothing to do with you being cut. Then I look upstairs. There's guys that knocked me off. Kevin Phelan, still here from Stang. Don't boo him. And Teddy Reagan from Coyle. They're here just to laugh at me. I know that. And I didn't think this was for Manny today. I thought it was a Marky Sullivan said this was for him. Are you getting something here too, Marky?
Free lunch tomorrow.
When I first took over the job at Durfee, I didn't realize what I was getting into. I followed the legend Luke Urban, and what was nice about him, he left a real good team for me. Manny was the center, Woody Berraby, Donald Carey, Barry Machado, but it made it easy for me. And we won our first 16 games, and I thought I was a genius until the next game we got beat by about 20. And we lost in the state finals that year to New Bedford, which was tough to take. Manny's great career at Durfee. He's in the Durfee Hall of Fame. He was always on the principal's list. Earned a 4-year scholarship to Boston College, a school that I could not get into. Now his teaching in New Jersey, all that stuff has been brought up here. Then he coached that math team, which everybody's brought about. Not only was he an outstanding player, he was a very humble person, which he still is. You talk about those scholarships. He's got a scholarship in my name to a boy and a girl at Durfee, basketball players. And he had my picture in with the kids. So after about 3 years, I said, "Manny, I can't do this anymore. I can't have my picture. You go in there. This is embarrassing. You're putting up the scholarship money, and I'm not." So he started to take that over. He was very easy to coach. I don't think I ever yelled at Manny. Did I, Manny?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Who haven't you yelled at?
And everybody's been talking about what a great role model he is. I mean, just to know Manny is a great thing. And four of us got to be congratulated by honoring him with this court. Willie McDonald wants everybody to get off right away because he wants to play one-on-one with somebody. I don't know who it is. Thank you for the Fall River Park Department for doing this for Manny. He's a very humble person. This is really, I know he doesn't like being up here, but we all love you, Manny.
You know, up on the hill there, they just mentioned Marky Sullivan. Well, Marky is one of the people that we meet with on Thursday to have lunch. And I'll tell you, there's a guy that brought a lot to our community as the director of CFC. So you can give one guy that's done a lot for our community. Marky Sullivan, a hand, please. At this time, I'd like to bring forth the athletic director at Durfee, Brad Buston. I'm sorry, Buston. Brad.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. On behalf of Durfee High School and the Durfee High School Athletic Department, we would like to congratulate Mr. Papoula on this great honor today. Mr. Papoula is truly deserving of this, and we are thankful for his support for his alma mater. For over 20 years, Mr. Papoula has presented a senior male and female basketball player with the Thomas Skip Karam Scholarship Award for having the highest GPA on the team for several years. His message is to reward those student athletes who excel in the classroom as well as the court. So on behalf of the Durfee High School Athletic Department, we would like to present Mr. Papoula with this basketball jersey and once again thank him for all his support. We brought our players today to present you Mr. Papoula's award. We did some research and looked back on the old yearbooks to find out your number. And again, thank you for being a role model to our students. Thank you very much.
I want to see that in the MG. Manny, you better.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
Hey, nice to see you, Brendan. Thank you. Very good.
You can all congratulate him.
Oh, thanks a lot. Best of luck this year.
Thank you very much. That's
Best of
not
luck, you guys.
that's my number.
Okay. Best of luck. Have a good season this year. Good season.
Thank
Do
you, sir.
well. Wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Have a great season. Best of luck.
We just had one of those basketball players saying, "That's no longer your number, that's my number. That's the number I play with." Thank you so much, Brad. Excellent job, you and your players. At this time, I'd like to bring forth a person who has done so much to make this day possible, and she worked tirelessly to ensure that this court was ready for today's dedication, along with John Perry. I couldn't thank those two people enough, and that is Nancy Smith. Nancy, would you please come to the podium? I understand that she has a gift from the park department. From the committee. Oh, okay. All right. We don't have budget for gifts. Okay. Oh, from the committee. That's right. Yes.
Committee and Mr. Hill.
Here. You've got the podium.
I have definitely been the benefactor of witnessing firsthand what you have done for this park department, Mr. Papoula, and no one has done as much as you have for this community and the youth of the city that enjoy playing on these basketball courts on a daily basis. I'm sure it warmed your heart when you saw these basketball courts being refurbished, and I want to let everybody know here that Manny couldn't stay out of this because he had to come and put the 2 nets up on this court as well. So with that said, Mr. Papoula, Ed has asked me to present you with a gift from the committee that put this together. It's a jersey that says Ruggles Park and Team Papoula #1, and I'm sure everyone here is a member of Team Papoula. So I want to thank you very much for all you've done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great job.
My sister's there now.
Okay.
That's the right in front.
Okay. At this time, I would like to recognize Manny's only sibling, his sister. And what's her name? Linda. Linda Papoula. Come on, come forth, because I got a job for you to do, Linda. You can, if you'd like to say a few words to the guests, please feel free to.
Hello. It was interesting when they talked about his 2 injuries on this court. I had actually forgotten about the sprained ankle in his senior year at Boston College. What I remembered his 2 injuries here was one day he was coming home from high school, and he and his friends stopped to play football, and he played without a helmet, and Manny ended up hitting his head on a rock, I believe, and he ended up with a brain tumor. He got knocked out. He stood up and he told his friends, "I have to go home and do my homework," and then he collapsed, and they took him by ambulance to, back then it was Union Hospital. The hospital called our house. My mom got the call. She went to the porch to call my dad, and I was out on the sidewalk playing. And I saw my mother open her mouth and move her lips, but no voice came out. She was so upset. And she and my father ended up spending that evening in the hospital. I got sent over to my aunt's house on Platt Street. And my mother ended up making a promise to God that if my brother was healed, she would go to communion and light a candle for the rest of her life. And she did that as long as she was able to. It was such a powerful teaching on her part for us, you know, to witness her do that for so many years, because I guess that happened around 1960, and my mom died in 2015, so there were a lot of years that she was faithful to that promise.
Thank you, Linda. Don't go away, Linda. At this time, if you'll notice over here to my left, there's a new billboard here, and I'd like to have Manny and his sister unveil it at this time.
Stays up. Maybe there's a challenge for you, man.
I didn't know it was going to be such a challenge. Hey! And the person I have to thank for that sign is Dion, Community Development Agency, who, I'll tell you, I said, I need a sign, can you get it done? And he said, well, what park? And I told him, and I'll tell you, he worked to ensure that that sign was made, and I think he did a heck of a job. At this time, I would like to call the guest of honor, Manny Papoula.
Oh, thanks so much. Oh, geez. I'm just completely overwhelmed here. Okay, I just can't begin to thank everybody enough. But okay, but let me first honor our mayor, all the other people representing the political office holders. Thank you so much. I know how busy your schedules are, so I thank you all very much. And of course, Nancy Smith has done a tremendous amount at the park department, and thank you so much also. And then of course Ray Mitchell here and Ed Hill, who did so much time and effort to put in so much time and effort to get this thing organized and completed. Then my old basketball coach, Mr. Former. By old, I mean former. Former basketball. Remember, he was only 25 at the time that he coached me, so he was very young. Okay, so Skip, Skip had to follow a legend. Okay, so Luke Urban. Okay, and Luke Urban was a true legend. And when I tried to put together a history of Durfee basketball a few years ago, I found out that Luke Urban had the highest winning percentage of any Durfee coach up until that time. Okay, he won 72% of his games, which was pretty phenomenal. And he did that over a 20-year period. All right. However, Mr. Karam, okay, coached for 35 years, and over that period, he won 82% of his games, a full 10% higher than the legendary Luke Urban. Right, well, no talent at center for your first year. I agree with that, okay, but there were many talented players after me. But anyway, so Skip, thanks so much for your kind words earlier today. And of course, the Durfee Athletic Director and his players, thanks so much for taking time to come here. Really appreciate that, and the gifts, and even just your mere presence here. Okay, and I'm thankful to Boston College. That hasn't been mentioned yet. I don't know if that was forgotten, but they sent a Boston College jacket and 3 jerseys or a sweatshirt, or I'm not sure exactly what's over there, but I'm shocked that they would do that, but it's a very pleasant shock. All right, and last but certainly not least, okay, my personal friends, okay, and I haven't seen had a good look at everybody who's here, but I have seen some people here who wound up being lifelong friends, okay, and you can't, beat that. So that was one of the reasons why I was always here at Ruggles Park. It wasn't just that it's a beautiful, fine park, okay. I just met, many great people here, and I certainly appreciate all of you being here. And my sister Linda, okay, there's also a cousin here, Leanne, I believe, is over there, okay, sitting there. And I really don't have that many relatives still living, but I certainly appreciate both of them being here. And finally, this is going to sound stupid, I know, I thank Ruggles Park itself. Okay, and I think I'll make that point clear after I say a few things, okay, but just the fact that this park was here, just Robeson Street's right over there, Orange just 2 blocks away. To have such a fine park so close to where I grew up, and then meet so many friends, okay? I mean, when my parents, bought that house on Orange Street, there were many fine neighbors, but very few kids that were about my age, so hardly anyone to play with, okay, and also there weren't any fields or basketball courts to play on. You had to play in the street, and that was dangerous, and I'm sure the people who parked their cars nearby didn't want us playing in the street, so there really wasn't that much to do. And then down at the bottom of Orange Street, there were a couple of really rough guys, a couple of older guys who, were real thugs and were getting in all kinds of trouble, and they would try to lure myself and a few other friends to join in with them. And if it hadn't been for Ruggles Park, I might have hung out with those guys, okay? 2 of them went to reform school, and then when they returned to reform school, it seemed like they were even worse and getting in even more trouble, breaking and entering into homes and businesses, besides fighting everybody that they could get their fists on. I liked Orange Street overall, but okay, when I discovered Ruggles Park, and it was through my older cousin, Larry Medeiros, who played in the old CYO basketball league, played for St. Anthony of Padua right down below in the baseball field. I used to play Sacred Hearts Parish, and so many of my friends are from Sacred Hearts Parish also. And he would let me tag along with him to go to his games and his practices. And a whole new world opened up to me. Initially, all I really cared about was that my cousin's team would win, and I would watch and learn baseball and try to watch the players how they played, because baseball was actually my very first love long before I started playing basketball. And so I would be rooting for him and trying to learn the game. And there used to be bleachers down near the field, okay, that went up pretty high. Sometimes I'd go all the way up to the top row of the bleachers just to get a better look of the whole park. And I was amazed by, you know, all the fun people seem to be having here, okay? Not like, you know, standing on a sidewalk and on Orange Street with nothing to do. You know, then there's reasons why people were here. First of all, the park itself, I don't know if we have any history buffs here, but the park itself was designed by the most famous designer of parks in the entire country, Frederick Olmsted. He's more famous for designing Central Park, which is in the middle of New York City, which is a humongous park, about 60 blocks long and about 10 blocks wide. And it's an absolutely beautiful park. I would sometimes go there to outdoor music concerts during the summer when I was living nearby in a suburb of New York City in New Jersey. And I was amazed by how great a park it was. And it wasn't until later when I saw a TV special about Frederick Olmsted that I found out that you know, he designed many other parks. And while I was doing that history of Durfee basketball, I saw an article in 1903 when Durfee basketball was almost getting started, that they started, Frederick Olmsted and his staff was here in Fall River, okay, designed Ruggles Park. It took 2 years, 1903 and 1904, and he did such a great job. They also hired him to do Kennedy Park, which was called South Park originally, okay, the biggest park in Fall River, and he also designed North Park, and he also designed Oak Grove Cemetery, which is about a half a mile over in that direction. So he did quite a bit. Fortunately, Fall River could afford those things back then. That's when the mills were thriving, and Fall River was doing very well financially, and it was much easier for the park department to be able to afford a noted architect like Frederick Olmsted. So I knew none of this, of course, back when I first came to Ruggles. I just saw tons of kids looking like they're having a great time. They were having pickup games around the main field, and other people were in the playground area on the swings and the slides and the merry-go-round. Other kids playing on tennis courts. There used to be over there. There used to be a handball court on the side down there. And everybody seemed to be having a good time. And I saw many kids my own age. And so after a while, instead of watching my cousin's entire baseball games, I would walk around, okay? I'd walk around the park, and I'd wind up meeting friends, and including some of the people that are here. And I'm saying, wow, okay, this is like paradise. So it was just, you know, there's just so much that I enjoyed here. And I started making friends. I don't know if Kenny Fitzgerald is here. He was one of the first guys. Is he here? Kenny? Okay, Kenny's, I think, my first friend that told me that he playing Little League Baseball, which I had never even heard of, okay, but he played at Columbus Park, and he and a deceased friend, Lefty Mello, used to talk about how much fun it was playing Little League Baseball. So, you know, then I was determined, you know, gee, I'll try hard to learn this game of baseball well, and maybe I might get picked for a baseball team. And it paid off, okay, coming to the park all the time, playing baseball, having fun, being with great guys. And I managed to make the Little League, and I had got to have a great coach, Tony LaCava, who was mentioned before by Ed Hill. And that was because of Ruggles Park, okay? I never would have been able to become a decent player, good enough to make the Little League, if it hadn't been for learning from my friends here, playing here at Ruggles. Okay, now I've already mentioned that my parents didn't really want me crossing Robeson. So in that case, it was Ed Hill that mentioned it. That my parents didn't really want me crossing when I was very young to come over to the park. But my cousin would bring me over, and then he showed me how to safely cross the street. And then my parents eventually, maybe when I was about 9, allowed me to make this massive trip for 2 or 3 blocks from Orange Street to Ruggles Park, and that's when my life just seemed to take off, because it was just so much fun after school coming right down to the park. And as was mentioned before, this place really was our second home. Okay, and there were no fights here, and nobody trying to get me into trouble, robbing people's homes or anything like that. So that was another big plus. But okay, early on, I was so in love with baseball, I never would even ever come up here to the basketball court. But then in the fall, when it would start getting too cold to play baseball, the only place I could find my friends would be here. So I would watch them, and they try to get me to play, especially since I kept growing, okay, at a fast pace. They said, your height will help you in basketball. So even though I knew nothing about playing, I don't even remember who the players were. I remember we had a 3-on-3 game over at that basket that Eddie Costas had, the one with the net. And I was absolutely the worst. I knew nothing. I couldn't catch the ball. I couldn't pass the ball right. If I dribbled, I was dribbling off my feet on my knees, okay? And shooting, forget about it. It'd be a miracle if I even hit the rim, let alone get a basket. Unfortunately, the team that I played on, the 3-on-3 team, we lost definitely because of me, and I was thoroughly embarrassed, and I felt bad for my teammates for choosing such a horrible player to have to play with. However, once again, Ruggles Park comes to the rescue. Specifically, that light on the top of that light pole. Okay, I refused to play with my friends until I learned how to play this game at least at a decent level. So as soon as the fall would come, okay, when you eat supper and by then it's already dark out, I would come with an old basketball that I got as a gift from a friend or whatever, and would come here. And even though that light wasn't that bright, it was still bright enough that I could see the basket and see where the court was. And then I kept dribbling and shooting and passing balls towards the backboard, many times missing the entire backboard, but trying to hit the backboard and be able to catch it afterwards. So I was getting practice on passing and catching, and then I was doing the dribbling. Sorry. Okay. And of course trying to shoot, and I did that for months. Okay, I don't think any of my friends knew that I was here, because they were all home. Everybody stayed home after supper back then, so eventually I thought I could play it well enough to be able to at least play in a 3-on-3 game here and not totally embarrass myself and cause my team to lose and have all my friends upset with me. So again, Ruggles Park, came to my aid. And then after I started playing with them, I just, this really became my second home. Just kept playing, and then started playing on youth league teams, and then eventually more in Durfee. And all this playing eventually led to a full 4-year scholarship to Boston College, and my parents never could have afforded to send me to Boston College. I've told today that it's over $60,000 for 1 year. So for a 4-year education, that's about almost $250,000 today's dollars. And even though it was much less back then, it was still way beyond my parents' budget. So again, Ruggles Park led me to be able to get that scholarship and save my parents a lot of money, and I still managed to go to lucky to be able to go to a very good school. But anyway, Okay, I don't know what else to say. Okay, all I know is, you know, these things, Ruggles Park gave me so much. I promise, okay, that's what I knew I wanted to say. I vow that until my health stops me from being able to do so, I will continue to put up these basketball nets, okay? It's usually about 4 or 5 times a year during the warmer weather, okay, from April to October. And so I do it about 4 or 5 times a year, and I want to continue until I just physically no longer can do so. And even after then, I still will not feel as if I've adequately paid Ruggles Park back for everything that Ruggles Park gave to me. So I thank the park department, and I thank those people who hired Frederick Olmsted to design this park and put it right here in this neighborhood, because they certainly improved my life an incredible amount. And thanks for all of you other people who came, who were neither relatives nor or childhood friends, okay? I sincerely appreciate all of you being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Manny, don't go away.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
You know, when I was telling somebody about Manny and what he's done, they asked me if he was God's gift to Fall River. Yes, he was. God's gift to Fall River. And we tried to get Bob Cousy to come today because Bob Cousy was Manny's coach at B.C. But he, because of health issues, could not make it. But the athletic department sent some stuff down here from B.C. for you, Manny, so we'd like to present that at this time. A T-shirt from Boston College. A pullover. And another T-shirt.
And tickets, 4 tickets to a home game.
And they also would like to ask you to go to a home game, and they've done that with 4 tickets to ensure that you do, in fact, make one of the home games. They'd love to have you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
There's a jacket over there, too. That black thing.
Oh.
That's a BC jacket, I think.
Hang on.
Ed, isn't that black thing a BC jacket? Yep, that's yours. Yeah.
You know what? I was trying to hide this one so I could keep it, but he spotted it. And another jacket from BC.
Unbelievable. Oh.
Very quickly, I would like to thank Nancy Smith, Mike Dion, Diamond Regional School, teacher Mike Barabee especially, and Tom Orban for all they've done. I would like to thank the community maintenance director and the workers from both the park department and community maintenance. Without their efforts, this never would have happened. So I also would like to thank Ms. Joyce Rodrigues, who was part of the committee that worked on putting this together. Joyce, I know you're here somewhere, but I just can't find you. But thank you so much for your efforts. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you on behalf of Manny Papoula, and I hope you all enjoy the court. Thank you.